It all started with a tree. It was an ancient tree, gnarled with age, twisted by experience, carved with memories. On that unholy day when I happened to pass by this tree, it called to me with a mystic chant I could not comprehend, yet I could feel with all that I was. With a brittle rope in my hand, I gave in to its call. I approached. I made a loop with my rope and threw it into one of the tree's branches. I tried as best I could to look brave, to remain dignified in this most incredibly undignified of tasks I was about to perform, but inside I was trembling with fear. Before I gained complete control of my balance, I heard yet another voice. "Be brave," the voice said. This voice belonged to an old man. "Who are you?" I asked. There was no reply. I looked around the forest, but no one was there. With the rope still suspended from the branch, I let myself collapse. I rested my head against the tree's thick and inviting arms, and with all the strength and dignity I could muster, I wept. I opened my eyes to the sounds of the forest. For a moment I froze, trying to remember where I was and how I got there. It wasn't long before I began to hear footsteps. "Who's there?" I called out. Again, there was no reply. The footsteps stopped. Then there he was, the old man. Somehow, his presence gave me deep comfort. "Hello," I said. "I'm sorry I fell asleep. My name is Mac. What's yours?" The man turned to look at me. His eyes looked uncannily familiar, but I couldn't remember whose eyes they resembled or where I'd seen them. He merely smiled. Little did I know that this smile was the beginning of a friendship I would never forget. It wasn't long before I returned to the tree with the hopes of meeting this old man once more. I merely stood before the tree, not knowing what else to do. It wasn't altogether a surprise when the man came out from behind the tree. I smiled, and the old man smiled back. Without any hesitation, I sat once more by the tree. He sat beside me. "Life is hard," the man mumbled softly. "I know this for a fact. But my boy, at your age, believe me, life can only get harder. There have been times when I myself wanted to give up, and in fact, I have tried to give up. But this tree here has helped me get through whatever problems I have had." I turned my head to look at him. I did not know who he was, but I once again felt this nagging feeling that I'd known him all along. I grasped the root of the tree on which we were sitting. It grasped me back. Every day since, I kept on returning to that tree. I was simply pulled by its strong gravity, a force that I seemed incapable of resisting. After just a few days, the old man became not only my friend, but my mentor. He was able to teach me more things than I ever could have asked. He showed me how to listen to the sounds of the forest, to distinguish the distant chirping of the birds from the noise of the crickets, the sound of the water flowing through the river from the rattling of the snakes. He listened to me whenever I had problems, and he gave me advice whenever I sought them. He became my best friend. It was an incredibly unfortunate day then, when I returned to the tree, only to find something incredibly different. Along the body of the tree lay the body of the old man. His face was black, his body limp, his expression lifeless. Beneath his body, I found a note. I picked it up, and with my hands shaking and tears running down my cheeks, I read what was left of my beloved friend. "Be brave. Love, Mac." With an excruciating pain devouring my heart, I wept. So there it was. My friendship with myself began with a tree. Strangely, it also ended with that tree. It's been many years since that day when I first saw the tree. So on that special morning, I was very much prepared. I stayed by the tree, just as I've always done for so many years in my life. I waited, and finally I could see the figure approaching from miles away. I could feel the despair emanating from the figure and spreading across the forest. As the boy approached, his face sullen and gloomy, I couldn't help but feel that despair once more. It was contagious and heartbreaking, even after so many years. I watched him as he threw the rope over to the branch and mounted the trunk. I knew I had to act. "Be brave," I muttered. The ancient tree stands as a monument to the life that I had experienced, to the story that I had lived. Together, our memories will live on forever.